And here I am, absolutely pandering to the Lord of Change. Tzeentch is my favourite faction of Chaos to play in Total War Warhammer 3, which in some ways shouldn't be surprising because I love diplomacy, I love manipulating the campaign through more means than just military might, so it kind of makes sense. But more importantly, I have something really interesting to offer, and coincidentally, CA just offered a buff to Sathorael the Everwatcher in the fact that he's now a proper full-fledged Lord of Change with a really cool character trait. The perfect time to drop this, and people are continually saying that they absolutely hate Sathorael's starting position. But we're going to give a 5-turn guide to first take out Teclis and then get yourself your prize chicken of Sathorael so you can start this campaign with 2 legendary lords. Doesn't get more fun than that. Welcome to Novel Plot Armor, and this is the 10-turn guide to get Kairos Fateweaver as well as Sathorael the Everwatcher. Hey guys, it's Elven from the future, and I just couldn't help myself. I've come in with another 5 hot tips for Tzeentch, and I'm going to put them here. So this is the campaign you're about to see me do, looking from the future back when we're going to complete it this turn at turn 75. And while I'm doing this, I'm going to walk you through a few things that will help you in the later turns, because helping you get the first few turns done is one thing, but learning how to deal with things later on is a complete other. Now, first of all, just in terms of military, since I'm going to show you how to get a second legendary lord, this is going to take a lot of the risk out of your expansion, because if you lose a lord, you don't lose all of that experience. Now with Tzeentch, even this far, you can get quite far just using Chaos Warriors on your front line, making sure on the flanks you use those halberds. This is an excellent unit. Of course, if you can upgrade to Chosen later on, that's great, but you really don't need to till quite late on. We've managed to get Hellbrass in our main army. It provides excellent healing, replenishment, and on Kairos as well, the fragment of Garen, this allows you to use regrowth, and healing your characters on the field of battle is exceptionally powerful. Also with Sartharoel, he has the blue scribes. If you do have Shadows of Change, you can use that. If you don't, that's completely fine. Although around this time is when I would really recommend getting some heavy hitters, Lords of Change, Mutiliths, Burning Chariots. Just 1 or 2 of those really big heavy units will really help you, but magic is where you will do the majority of your power. Tip number 2, the changing of the ways. Don't forget to use these. You will start building up some serious grimoires. Oh, there we go, short victory achieved. You gain some extra wins of magic, but borrowed time will allow you to get that same army. Doesn't cost very much, recharges every 7 turns. Use it, it is so powerful. We've taken the settlement and now we can move again, essentially breaking the rules of the game. Alright, he can't go and attack our settlements without us being around. Really great stuff. But look, we can't return back to our settlement. Now, that would normally be a shame, but we have a trick up our sleeve. We can go to Halt Army, another changing of the ways. Again, very, very cheap, and it will recharge after a couple of turns. This army cannot move, so we have just stopped them from being able to take that settlement back. Using Forced Rebellion is usually only advised on smaller, nearly dead factions, which are down on their luck, and you can have a laugh as a rebellion chips away at their remaining holding. Forced War is more of an endgame consideration. You have 2 factions that you're really worried about allying with each other. It'll cost you a fortune, but have a laugh and make them fight each other instead, and they'll never forgive each other. Similarly, if to Force Peace, it's a bit more contrived, but you can get some really amusing results with it. Transfer Settlement, this is actually exceptionally useful, but it's also a really interesting way of creating conflict by forcing people that would rather not share a border to do so. Now, since your armies are carried by your casters, it's important to ensure you always have good winds of magic, and the Oracles of Tzeentch can control the winds of magic. Each holding can have between 1 and 5 bars. You will want your frontiers to have that 5th bar to allow you a bit more punch on the front lines if you get in battle, but you only need up to 4 to gain the provincial benefit. This will allow your buildings to provide more gold, more grimoires, and more growth. So you want all of your settlements to have 4 out of 5. If you only have 3, find one which has 5 and increase it, like so. And of course, make sure your frontiers have the maximum amount of winds of magic to ensure the battles go your way. Tip number 4, talking about your buildings. Which buildings should you build first? You always want this building here, the Web of Secrets. 1 turn to build, buffs growth, buffs income, exactly what you need. Build it in every single settlement. Don't upgrade anything else to tier 2 except your capital until you have those in there. Whilst it's nice to have growth and barrier, it comes secondary to needing gold. So building that where possible. Once you have this building at tier 1 built at all your settlements, then move to the corruption building, which will increase the percentage. Stacking percentage buffs is is how Tzeentch make their money. In a perfect world, you'll have some ports, your income building, the corruption building to boost the percentage, as well as a resource building to further compound that percentage and provide some grimoires every turn. You don't need to worry about growth except in your capital, as you'll see, because this allows you to fast track the buildings to unlock your legendary heroes. The fifth and final tip is the diplomacy of your campaign. You will start in the south with Oxyotl immediately to your west, and he will probably attack you around turn 20. Don't go out and attack him, allow him to come to you, destroy him with your capital, and then counterattack. You'll see that this will time quite nicely by turn 20, where you will also have wiped out Tzeentch and have Sathorael the Everwatcher also in your ranks. Now, the next piece of diplomacy to remember is you have a lot of lizardmen here. I'm going to show you how you can get Kroq-Gar on side, well, not so much on side, but at least not military ally with tic-tac-toe against you. If those two ally against you, things will be very hard. You can survive it, but if they ally, it'll usually be before Oxyotl is attacked here, and you'll have a three-way pylon, which is not what you want. Make sure the north here stays disunited, allowing you to take all of this bottom territory, and then you can counterattack. Remember that your economy is exponential. You will soon find yourself swimming in gold with multiple armies with no stress at all. You can see here earlier I used the transfer settlement ability, was defensive allies with them, so when Kroq-Gar did declare war on me, he declared war on the beastmen as well. So that's it. Now let's get into the walkthrough. Just a quick reminder, guys, if you are enjoying the video, please consider liking and subscribing. It really helps out. Ask any question in the comments. I answer everything. And if you'd like to talk strategy, feel free to join the Discord. Cheers. Starting off turn 1 of a brand new legendary campaign, your research should always be to get locusts, because I absolutely love more winds of magic, which is how you should gear your entire campaign. Zooming in, join your cultist and do your very first battle. You can handle auto-resolving this one, and then take the gold. Be sure to assign any banners, upgrade your skills, and as a great rule of thumb, always get that route marcher to increase your campaign movement, and take your very first settlement. And on the battlefield, we're going to start ourselves in this position here, so it's hard to see with all this Nurgle-like terrain, but we have ourselves a bottleneck here, and we're going to use one of these blue horrors just slightly ahead of the rest to catch the enemy when they come in, and the rest are going to be providing support fire. We want enough room that this squad of cavalry can come in barreling these guys out of the way. Now, these guys are a bit shy, so why don't we let our Winds of Magic build up? So just hit fast forward. You'll lose a lot of Chaos Furies due to auto-resolve, so we're going to keep these guys back, let them replenish their numbers, and you'll see that we position our cultist up in front so he can catch the enemy, they'll only damage his shield, and we can blast these guys with some Tzeentchian fire when they're held in place. More blue fire down the length of the units. Excellent stuff. And don't forget to use your abilities to increase the Winds of Magic, and you'll never run out. More pink fire? Absolutely. See how they're bunched up? Let's take advantage of that. Cool. Now, once a unit's shields run out, just be careful and consider pulling them back. Nice, so we got ourselves a weapon. Occupy, as always, we don't want revolts, we will not have time for that. Now, as for Kairos' skill tree, there's a few ways you can go. Yes, he's an amazing caster, and we can go all the way down this line. But we have a Firecaster, and that will more than do. Our biggest enemy right now is Elves, and Elves are soft, squishy, with low hit points, so Fire Magic will demolish them, and we already have a Fire Cultist inside our army. So let's, just for this early stages, the Fire Cultist will be the caster. Kairos is going to put his general hat on, so we're going to follow down Inspiring Presence, and we're going to increase our horrors. Even this first point, 8% more damage, and that only doubles in as well as gives them some more barriers. So given this is the workhorse in our early stages, we want 3 points in this, and then we'll go down the magic route. And of course we want to increase our mobility, but first we need a burning head. Now, as for construction, we need to be very careful here. So our biggest goal is not going broke early on, because we will need some military forces, which is why I know it's not much, but 100 gold, it's going to really help. We're kind of desperate for money right now, not going to lie, but we want that as well as the barracks building. This is going to set you up to be able to get your legendary hero, regardless if you have any DLC, the FLC Archhold, and he is an absolute boss. He gives you replenishment, he's a line holder warrior, he does everything Tzeentch needs, so getting him on the field is absolutely paramount. Get some heavy infantry to hold the line, as well as upgrade your barracks here. We want this to tier 3 to get some iridescent horrors, and this increases the capacity, so even if you trash this building, you can hire 2 heroes, throw them in the army. On the diplomacy screen, there is another Tzeentch faction. You won't be able to save them. You need to make peace with the fact that Oxyotl is coming and he ain't showing any mercy. They are going. But our boy Sathorael, he's up here and we're going to save him, which means we need to divert our attention away. We've destroyed his armies. They're cool for some peace. Get as much money as you can out of them. Now the next few moves are vitally important, so I'm going to list them on the screen, but this is the only way I've guaranteed so far you can rescue him every single time, otherwise Sathorael will often get wiped by Teclis. We need to get our forces mobilized quickly, as well as give Teclis a target so he doesn't beeline straight to wipe out Sartharoel. So here's the trick. We're going to get Kairos out of our second settlement that we've just acquired and get ourselves a second lord. This lord will now sit inside the barracks and globally recruit 3 blue horrors and then locally recruit 2 blue horrors. This maneuver will meet our recruitment requirements as well as allow Kairos to go out and discover, and we can save him in time. Turn 2, we need Kairos in the ocean, so move him straight into the ocean. You'll see that he enters it, goes into boat mode, and this will uncover Teclis. He's already at war with Sathorael, and we can't do anything about it yet, but next turn we'll be able to move up and discover him. Our second lord needs to hire locally 2 more blue horrors, and that ends your turn. Turn 3. Now listen very careful here because you do need to be very careful. Now look at your movement and see what you have available left when you press and hold the right mouse button. So we can move up with Kairos, but even further we can move up with our heroes. Aim to move to about, say, 53% of his movement, and there we have discovered Sathorael. Let's see what sorry state he's currently in. The reason why we didn't declare war on Teclis is because through Sathorael we can really build a friendship by signing a military alliance with him. Now you can make him a vassal straight away, but here's the thing, it makes it much harder to confederate if you do, but this means you'll be able to keep him alive and use him as a tributary, and that might be your thing. Feel welcome to make him a client state and enjoy all the benefits that does bring in, or sign the best you can whilst declaring war on Teclis. Cool. Now once you've done that, give him the biggest gift you can, so give him a generous gift. Do this and he will not only start loving you, but this will give him some vital funds he needs to not get wiped out. Now we have Teclis right where we want him, and we want him to come to us. So first of all, move out just enough so we can bring our sorcerer out to the water. Now that he's here, retrieve the troops from his army, and of course place them with Kairos. Move forward a tiny bit more, because we don't want him to move around and attack this lone lord. And of course, finally, rebed your hero in this army and turn and go crazy. Now the upcoming battle with Teclis is obviously going to be a challenging one. Their starting early high elf units are quite good, but most importantly, that goddamn Phoenix is such a pain. Now the best thing to do is don't try to gun it down while it's moving. Instead, set up on this high hill like you see here, have your flanking units out to the wings, and then fly ahead with Kairos. Use him to bait some of the ammunition whilst dropping some spells where you see that they're crowded. You can do some nice early damage. I've taken way too much damage here, as you can see, but the idea is try to avoid that Phoenix and wait till it can either be held in place with Kairos or is on the ground so you can focus it down. You'll lose a few units of blue horrors, they'll crumble away, but if you're playing on the easier difficulties you can most likely auto-resolve this. It doesn't matter if you lose some units, you'll have plenty of time to replenish them. Particularly target their unarmored troops because they're low elven hit points, and clustered formation means you will absolutely wreck them with your area of effect spells. The easily overlooked MVP of this battle will be your cavalry. As soon as the enemy archers start to engage, bowl them along from the side, flank around, disrupt them, and just in case you wondered if this was live, yes, I lost Kairos Fateweaver. He is wounded for 5 turns, continuing my meme of always losing my legendary lord on these walkthroughs. Start of turn 4, rank up your heroes, focusing on the summoning units as well as movement and a burning head. But don't forget your sorcerers. Searing Doom is an excellent bombard spell from the lore of metal. A high AP bombard spell is going to be particularly useful against the high elves in their settlements. Now finish off the remaining army if you need to, and then first send your leading army up to shore, encircle the settlement, and that will stop the zone of control and allow your secondary army or secondary lord to come up and reinforce. Make sure you do this for the experience. It's a relatively straightforward battle. Again, using Tzeentch Fire and Burning Head to go along the lengths of their ranks to inflict maximum damage, and you should have no trouble. Try to get some experience on your knights. As always, occupy the settlement, don't sack it, because we want to make this our home, and this will allow us to replenish our numbers. In your capital, your barracks should be completed, so make sure you build some pink horrors with a new lord and ship them over, while globally recruiting in your main army. Rolling to turn 5, repeat the same thing. Consider getting some Zangors if you have the expansion, as they're a good front line holder, and check out Sartharoel. If you still can't sign anything, build your army up and then turn. Start of turn 6, move your armies up to the edge of the territory and put your biggest army in ambush stance if you possibly can. Bring your reinforcements up and join them to your primary army, which should be Kairos if you didn't get him killed like I did. Save some upkeep by disbanding the third lord. Turn number 7, make sure you research towards greater locus of change. There's also some nice changing of the ways you can get there. Now it's time to wipe out Teclis by taking his capital, and I can't do it this turn because I lost my legendary lord. But guess what? Soon you're going to have 2 legendary lords that can't die permanently and automatically have siege attacker. So I'm having to besiege this turn. Be better than me and you won't get it. Make sure you check Sathorael every single turn to make sure he's still doing well. Checking his balance of power before you lose all your units will make your negotiating position a little bit better. Turn 8, we didn't even need that siege equipment because we can get Kairos Fateweaver back because he was wounded turn 3. And on the battlefield, I don't think this should be too hard of a battle. We're just going to move up. The biggest threat we have is that their archers can outrange us, so we're just going to force ourselves up in a big concentrated block and then focus down their archers one by one. We also have Kairos able to dive in and then deal some damage. Being sure to use Burning Head along the lines of enemy infantry where you know they'll be concentrated. It deals excellent damage to lightly low hit point units like archers. Very, very fun. And this battle is almost won. And later in the battle, or run your units with lots of ammo up onto the walls and they will be able to shower pain down below, and that usually marks the point where you have absolute control of the height of the walls, just peppering at the enemy until they submit. We do have this rebellion that it should be due any minute now due to all the corruption from our opposing demon factions from the east side there. So let's first enter the water, first turn off any march modes we have on, and then sail onto dry land. Alright. There we are. Okay, so he'll be there to reinforce. Next turn, when the rebellion does hit. Now, I could give away this settlement this turn, but the reason why I'm not is that this port, as well as the main building itself, give me 10 growth each, and this will help get us the growth we need to get this to tier 2. This will replace the income we lose, as well as give us a bit of growth, and then we can eventually get more grimoires. But once it is tier 2, we gain a better garrison, meaning we'll have a bit better time holding it from the enemy. Start of turn 9, and we have our rebellion, so let's force march our lord up because he can't reach any other way, and we'll use the settlement to attack him, giving him some nice residual experience, auto resolve that, and of course take that extra gold. Ends up being just some nice experience for our lord at this stage. So we're going to move him up, and he's going to move over here to the east, and we're now focusing on consolidating this starting area to really power up our economy. Always keep one eye on this area here. Now you're going to have to be a bit reactionary from this point on. We're turn 9 and a few things can happen. We can end up having tic-tac-toe coming down this way, giving us extra heat here, which will really put the pressure on and make him want to confederate. So you could confederate him from next turn till turn 25. It's a bit fickle, but it shouldn't take too long. We're going to send Kairos down here, even force marching him, because by the time we get there, the peace treaty will virtually be done, so we won't lose any reputation, and this will make attacking here way more inviting, so he's more likely to end up needing us for an alliance. And at turn 10, we can now upgrade our main building. Now that we've got the growth we needed, we can now get rid of Dawn's Light. The reason being, our goal is to get it back in the long term. Now he's very, very close to wanting to confederate because he has declared war on us there, so oof. Advantage as well is that if he loses this, he won't get eliminated. So it's a bit of a trick to try and protect ourselves from potentially losing him. So we'll go military alliance. And we're still going to go down here and attack because we need to keep on moving. And next turn we'll be able to quite simply take that, and we won't have any diplomatic penalties. And of course we'll need to return to Fortress Dawn and hire some pink horrors because we will need to bunker down and save the day. End your turn. Okay, he's offered for us to join this war, but I'm not going to do that because it's going to make him feel a bit stronger, and we want him to stay weak and feel very vulnerable, so he ends up bending his will to us. So he'll probably lose that, and then we can confederate him. And having a look at the map now, these lizardmen look like they're going to take out Sartharoel any minute now, but that's okay, because we've gifted this other province, he won't be eliminated, and that's usually the biggest risk here, is that when he only has one settlement left, here he's going to get eliminated and you will lose him. We're going to bring our second lord, and once he's there, he can keep hiring so long as our upkeep can sustain it. Kairos, it's an easy auto resolve, so we'll take that and continue expanding. But are there any allied missions we can do? So yes, there are. Absolutely take this. This is free allegiance and it will make him like us even more. Why not? Check the balance of power. We can easily see that our stack here can beat his. We don't need to max it. No need to send ourselves broke. Turn 12, and it looks like Sathorael has won his encounter, just barely, which means his balance of power is garbage and he is keen to confederate. Come here, buddy. Welcome home. Oh, that is satisfying. Cool. Alright, let's see our newest friend. What's he like? So, Sathorael, of course he is just a Lord of Change, but not just any. He has the Eye Watcher trait, giving him an extra 15 winds of magic. For a perk you start the game with, this is really, really good. But also remember, he is a legendary Lord, thus he cannot die, so you can take risks with these guys, and this isn't the easiest campaign, so being able to have a Lord that you can take risks with that will not lose his levels is very, very nice. Of course we have Kairos down here, completing our first province. Get over there, take that. And now you have 2 provinces complete by turn 12. We need gold for our upkeep, and some extra growth will help us level up quicker, allowing us to get our 2 really amazing legendary characters. We're going to spend a few turns boosting the Tzeentchian corruption. Once you stabilize the corruption, Engram's contrivance algorithm is a great way to boost your research as well as your winds of magic. And let's bring our secondary lord up to dry land, and we can pair him up with Sathorael, double check they don't have any balance of power so we're not in danger of getting ambushed. Okay, so they have 4 settlements there. We do have to be careful because around now is when Oxyodal can come and attack, so you want to be watching this guy. So he's got 3 settlements left, but he is really under the pump. So there's 2 clear choices. One is you gift and appease these guys to be play it safe and ensure that you then have the flexibility and time to get over here to protect your capital. But here's the other thing. Like I just said, that's your capital. That is a very defensible settlement. So it's a nice, solid entry to your empire there. So if they do need to encamp, you can build this up to be a really defensible area. As soon as you see him here, hire a crisis army. So we're going to take some risks, guys. We are going balls to the wall. We're going for it. I'd like to have 2 Zangors to hold the front line, and we're keeping our costs down with a couple of blue horrors. The biggest challenge here is from the north. We have Krokgar and that yellow lizard faction, both are ready to pounce on you, and from your immediate east you have the Slaaneshi faction. You can make this significantly easier by not doing it this way. Teclis being wiped out will make everything a lot easier for you. Turn 15, we've taken out that rebellion. We do need to stabilize this area because we can't keep on fighting these. But also, we have some great news. We have the quest to get the blue scribes if you do have the expansion, and every single captive we get, meaning you will want to fight your battles manually. He's the legendary lord, so he could attack it, but I don't think we'd win. So we're just going to build towers here and force him to come out to us. And turn 17, the chapter House of Knowledge, which we've already set ourselves up, remember back in turn 1. At our capital, this will give us the biggest buff to growth we can get, and as I just mentioned, we now want to rush the growth in our capital and get our chapter House of Knowledge up and going as quickly as possible. This and this will be our nodes to defend ourselves. I haven't mentioned yet, but these 2 settlements are kind of your traffic lights. When you see one go, get prepared, and when you see the other go, that's Oxy knocking on your door. Make sure you have already started to crisis hire. Let's continue our offense. and seize this territory as quickly as possible. So by about turn 21, you've got to be prepared that you might get attacked by Oxyotl, and we can see him here. He's quite busy, he has 2 stacks, so we will need to be able to defend this at our capital. So we have the advantage of it being a capital with a decent garrison, but we will need more troops there. So I'm actually going to cancel the construction here because we need these funds. We're going to raise ourselves another lord, some pink horrors. We'll need that extra armor piercing damage. It's going to cost us a bit, but it will certainly be worth it if we can make sure we don't lose our capital. It's never ever worth losing your capital. We're just going to stack our most experienced ones full, and there we go, we have a positive cash flow. Can we do anything similar up here? Oh, the question is, are we going to get attacked soon? And we're probably not far from it. Let's give him the ambusher trait by sitting in ambush stance for a few turns. Turn 20. Let's take the Altar of Facades, and that completes our territory. For our defensive abilities, we will want our barriers coming up sooner and stronger, so we'll get that. And now we can also heal our characters, which is also very, very useful. And at this point is when we should start to feel a bit more in the driver's seat. We will build anything that gives us a little bit more gold, and we need to now rush our asses back to our capital in time to not have it crushed by this very, very vengeful skink army. Let's now hire 1 Zangor, 1 pink horror. It's going to send us broke, but I think the quality of our units will hopefully win the day. And gold wherever we can get it, and upgrading these main settlement buildings where possible. It's kind of just the MO, but just leave it at tier 1 for now. To get the return on this, we're only getting an extra 50 gold per turn. We need 20 turns for this to live. And I know it sounds a bit pessimistic, but we don't know what might be around the corner. Our only prerogative is making sure we hold this as a bottleneck. This if we can, and of course our capital, and then we're going to counterattack and wipe out Oxyotl. Oh, and here we are, and here he has come to take what is rightfully ours. That's a really good auto resolve. For the sake of wiping out this stack and keeping this army inside the next turn and him not healing up, I will auto resolve this. Some of his units survived. Well, you win some, you lose some, but as much as I'd love to replenish, we really need this cash. We can still chase him down next turn. This guy's offering me a military alliance, but he's absolutely getting wiped out next turn, and you know, Croc-Gar is going to hate me because I'm at war with Tic-Tac-Toe, so I'm just going to take this money because being nice and trying to placate Croc-Gar is not a thing that's going to happen in reality, so let's take the money, and hopefully we can bolster our military enough to hold him off and hope he has some more enemies that we don't know about. Over the end turn, that number of captives helped appease the blue scribes trial, and we need to move a unit to the cursed jungle in this case. Sometimes this can change, but we're just going to hire a loose lord and run them up past here if possible. So this is the only bad thing about being at war here, is we can't just march a lord through here. We need to get someone up there as soon as possible, even if it just means opening a barracks to send an iridescent horror up this way. We need defense, so on these frontier settlements, we need to build up walls so they can withstand any bollocking that they throw at us. Oh, we need more units there. We're just waiting to get Kairos over the other side of the map. So how many turns is that going to be? Now, it might be tempting to go and hunt down some more lizards, but here's the deal. They are very sneaky, and we don't want to go too far ahead of ourselves until we have Kairos there. This is, yes, more expensive, I know. Disband the regiments of renown. You'll be fine without them now. Upgrade your capital as soon as possible so we can get this chapter house. As soon as we get Hellbrass on the field, we can replenish at a really great rate. Alright, now turn 25, and we're going to do our most crafty move yet. Our relationship is very, very quickly collapsing with Croc-Gar, so what we'll do is we're going to give him this one settlement, and it does break up our province. We can maybe trade it back later. We'll see what we can do. And of course sign a defensive alliance, and there we go. He's on side, he's acting as our guardian here from the north, and he is at war with these guys. So we could not ask for anything more than that. So this will now buy us the time we need to defeat our enemies to the south, and then we can move our way to the north. Power and glory to Tzeentch. This is Elven Plot Armor. I'll catch you next time.